Welcome back to BST, everybody. Hope you guys are having a great night.
Late night.
Yeah, it's late right now, but we're up making content for you guys. So
like and
subscribe, comment, check out our TikTok, which may be gone soon. TikTok might be banned. Who knows? We'll see how
Our
that
timing
goes.
on that wasn't very great.
Yeah, I know. Right as we make a TikTok, check out Twitter, check out the shorts here on YouTube. Do all that stuff. It is greatly appreciated. But let's get into these games. We'll start with the college game yesterday because we did not film a reaction to that. So the Ohio State Buckeyes beat the Texas Longhorns 28-14. It was closer than the score indicates. I think it was. Because did Ohio State go up 14-0 or was it 7-0 was their biggest lead? Was 7?
I think it was 7. Yeah, I don't remember them going up 2 scores.
It was kind of a match for match game. They went up 7-0 and then Texas tied it.
Yep.
And then they went up 14-7. Then Texas tied it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got that go ahead score to go up 21-14. And then Texas drove all the way down the field into the red zone, and then Quinn Ewers fumbles.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm sure I haven't actually watched any reaction on it at all, but I know a lot of. I'm sure Texas fans especially are wondering. First and goal at the 1, down 21-14. Just pound it 4 times. Just pound it. You ran it on first down. You got stuffed. You tried this little toss sweep play and lost 7 yards.
Yeah.
And then Ewers doesn't connect on a throw to the end zone, and then on fourth and goal from the 8 or 7, whatever it was, gets strip sacked and gets the 83-yard fumble return against them. So questionable. Sarkisian's a good play caller. And, just sometimes, I don't know, as a fan, you sit back and you're like, why not run the ball?
Yeah, I agree.
Run the damn ball, as Seattle
It was
would
1
say,
It was
right?
1 yard.
First and goal at the 1. I mean, I don't know. Texas, the Longhorn running backs were pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're Marshawn Lynch, but pound the ball. You can almost stomach that better than they stopped us 4 times. They just outmatched us at the end, at the goal line. I don't know. I was hoping to see overtime. Would have been cool, but
they also didn't run the ball good all day.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
1 yard.
It's 1 yard.
1 yard, 4 shots.
You could have snuck it in there.
You like to think you can get. I think any team likes to think they can get in.
Yeah.
1 yard. With 4 tries.
It was a bad day for offense, really. Nobody had success running the ball. Ohio State's biggest play was pretty fluky on that screen pass. So, I mean, I thought Texas played good enough to win, but just right at the end didn't have that little edge there to pull it out. But
yeah,
Ohio State moves on to go play Notre Dame. We'll see what happens to Quinn Ewers in the offseason. He says he's played his last game in college, but who knows? I know there's going to be some money waiting for him wherever he transfers.
Money in the NFL though too, right? Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
He's not bad. He's just kind of like, I don't know. I personally wouldn't want him on my team in the NFL, but that's just me. But I also don't know that I'd want Will Howard either. A lot of quarterbacks in college that just kind of they're good enough for these good teams, but not necessarily guys that I would want on my team. But the thing that Texas did a really good job is limiting Jeremiah Smith. That we'll probably see Notre Dame try to do the same thing. I think I saw a play where they had like 3 guys on him. So, I mean, that kind of seems to be the key to stopping this offense a little bit. Is if you can stop these wide receivers, because if the pass game isn't moving, then they get a little discouraged.
Yeah.
And they can't run the ball as well. But should be a good one in the championship game, which is next Monday.
We'll see. I'm
Monday.
skeptical.
You don't think so?
Well, I don't know. It's been a while since we've seen a good one.
Hey, and we'll talk about my other bracket failures coming up, but I did predict this to be the final in this bracket prediction for the college football playoff. So, but I have Ohio State winning, so we'll see how that ends up next Monday, not tomorrow, or not. Well, tomorrow, tomorrow, because it's 12 a.m. right now. So tomorrow, not that Monday, the next Monday. But yeah, it was a good 2 games in this semifinal. So hopefully the championship, we finally get a good championship for the first time in forever. That'd be awesome just to see some good football for once. But I think we will. He's not as optimistic, but we'll see next Monday.
Let's talk NFL.
Yeah, more of our expertise.
Well, expertise. More of our interest.
Yeah.
No.
So first game you had today, you had the Texans dismantling the Chargers 32-12. Now, if you watched our previous episode or previous
one of our takes,
previous 2 episodes, or the one before the last, we did our bracket challenge, our bracket prediction. I may or may not have picked the Chargers to go to the AFC Championship.
You did.
So, this isn't great for me.
No, it's pretty much.
But,
well, your winners are still alive.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of a hole.
But in my defense, I didn't know the Chargers' offense would implode like they did.
When you made the prediction, I felt like I didn't think LA had enough weapons to make it that far. I certainly felt like they had enough to beat the Texans, but clearly the Texans came out and said everybody's disrespecting us, so we are just going to win this game. And, I mean, when you can pick off Herbert matched his season interception, or beat his season interception total in one game here.
Yeah.
He only threw 3 all year. He threw 4 in this game. Now, you could probably say the 3rd and 4th were garbage time a little bit, more forced because he's got to try to make a play.
One was a tip pick as well.
One was a tip. I mean, they're all bad. You don't never want to see that. But,
No.
But, hey, you know what? Herbert, he was slinging it, trying to make a play. I get it. He's a good quarterback. It was rough day for him, though. 14 of 32, 242 yards. Texans have a good defense. They hadn't really shown it in a lot of games, but they did show it in this game, and I think that's aided by a weak receiving core that the Chargers have.
I agree. I agree.
Dobbins, 9 carries, 26 yards. Only 18 carries total for the Chargers. Obviously, being behind like they were, it wasn't much. The run game wasn't working, and they weren't going to it late, and that's obvious. Being behind, playing from behind. But, could have been different if they could have turned some field goals and touchdowns in that first quarter. I mean, they had an opportunity to really open it up, take control of the game, and they didn't.
They were controlling it. I was like, okay, so my prediction's going good. This is good. And then it seems like it's boiled down to that fumbled snap by Stroud and that throw that really just kick-started them. And they did not look back after that play. But,
they dominated play in the first half, it felt like, and then it was 10-6 at the half for the Texans. I mean, as much as they dominated play, they did not seize control of that game from a score perspective. If they could have turned it into, if it was a 14-10 game at the half, or who knows how it goes if they get 14 points right off the bat, so.
Chargers definitely need to look in the offseason for just another weapon. I mean, I think McConkey's going to be good. He's pretty good, but you see a different guy who can make plays for you, because they just don't got anybody.
Well, you got T. Higgins out there potentially, or that should be available depending on what happens with Cincinnati. I'd hate to see him leave the Bengals. I I like what they have there with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
That's fun. Be cool to see the Bengals do something like that, like make a run. But hey, what about, Devontae Adams? He could be out there.
True.
What about Adams in L.A.? He lives out there, right? He's from that area, so maybe that gives him a chance to go home. I don't know.
That's true.
It'll be interesting to see.
But yeah, now the Texans get to go play the Chiefs, and I'm not the biggest Texans fan, but I'm going to be cheering super hard for the Texans next week in the divisional round. But I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Kansas City kind of destroyed them last time they played. It's in Arrowhead. It's going to be cold. I don't trust anything about the Texans because even today, Stroud had some throws. It's like, what are we doing? Like those weren't even close.
Well, Stroud threw a couple balls that probably should have been intercepted. One of them I still kind of think was an interception, but it was overturned in the end zone.
Yeah,
that would have game got out of hand quite a bit after that. That could have been a big spark for LA, but LA was hardly moving the ball on offense.
Oh yeah, they could not. It was pretty sad.
I felt like Chargers defense played as
really well.
They could. They just didn't get helped out.
9 points in this game were special teams, and one was pick six. So you can't really blame them for that. So
yeah,
I think that all things considered, they played pretty well. But I thought there was a point in this game where I'm like, the no way the Chargers don't win, with the defense forcing 3 turnovers. And then they kind of matched the turnovers themselves, but I'm like they were down in the game while the defense had forced 3 turnovers. And I'm like, dude, what are we doing? But yeah, it was not close after.
All in all, it was kind of a bummer of a game.
Yeah,
from just a casual fan.
Both games today were pretty bad. So, yep.
What about that next one?
Yeah, Texans win 32-12. Moving on, the next NFL game right afterwards was the Ravens home against the Steelers, but the Ravens win 28-14. More of the same for Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, kind of like we were talking about with James Franklin. It's just what happens, I guess.
Well, what's interesting in this, 21-0 at the half. Pittsburgh outscored Baltimore 14-7 in the second half. I look at this stat line here, and I think if you didn't watch the game, Russell Wilson played better in the second half, and I think his line here, 20 of 29, 270, 2 touchdowns, no picks. You'd look at that, having not watched either, and been like, man, he played pretty well the whole game. I'd say he probably certainly had a much better second half, and maybe Baltimore took their foot off the gas a little bit in that second half or something, maybe. I don't know, but Russell Wilson to me looked kind of lost in most of that first half.
I agree.
Baltimore's got a good defense. But man, this used to always be a shootout, or not a shootout in the sense of high scoring, but
it's a good game.
Just like a great game, right? It was just like a coin flip, no matter where they played.
Yeah, it was like Flacco versus Roethlisberger.
Yeah, just like Baltimore, Pittsburgh was just always like, oh man, that's just gonna be great, and it was just kind of
Pittsburgh doesn't have that offensive firepower anymore.
False hope. They scored their first touchdown in the third quarter and got it to 21-7, and you thought, okay, let's get a stop, and then Henry long run scores, and 28-7, and you're just like, okay. And then there's a little bit of punts back and forth, and then Pittsburgh breaks through and gets another touchdown, but then it was just, they couldn't do anything after that, and so, a little disappointed. I've got a good friend of mine that's a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, and I was texting him throughout the game and just, asking him, at what point do you put Fields in if Russell is struggling? And his response was, there's really there's still no point to benching Russell Wilson and putting Justin Fields in. He just doesn't think Fields is good enough, and it really though falls on Tomlin a little bit in his opinion. He's a little old school, respects the veteran player. Wouldn't bench a vet, in that sense. And in his opinion, he feels like Tomlin's time in Pittsburgh has just kind of run its course. The league has changed, the style of football has changed, and the organization, in his opinion, hasn't kept up. And it's time for a change. He'd love it if they parted ways with Tomlin. He appreciates the time, but would love to get Glenn out of Detroit or Ben Johnson. So Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson. So he thinks that they just kind of need a reboot.
I agree.
So to a longtime Pittsburgh fan, this winning streak thing, this consecutive winning seasons, just doesn't mean as much to him because it just always ends the same way lately.
Yeah.
So.
I kind of see their frustration because that's how I feel with the Packers sometimes. It's like, yeah, we have these winning seasons, but the seasons still end up the same way as teams who didn't make the playoffs most of the time. I mean, it's hard to win, and we're not going to act like the front office has done a great job giving him a quarterback as of late. So I don't think that's his fault. But
and when you say his, you talking
Tomlin.
Tomlin, okay, yeah.
To get fired for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big piece of this puzzle is that they can't get consistent quarterback play since Ben Roethlisberger retired. And they also couldn't run the ball today. And that's no surprise because the Ravens have the best run defense in the NFL. But still, when you can't run the ball and you have Russell Wilson at quarterback, it's not going to be great. And the stats don't look horrible for Russell, but I didn't, there was at no point in this game I'm like, okay, Russell can do this. Russell can do this. I was like, nope, this game's over. As soon as Henry hit that big run, I'm like, yep, it's done. But yeah, Ravens, they're a buzzsaw if they're on a roll. 300 yards rushing today, holy crap. That's insane.
Yeah.
They didn't even need Zay Flowers today, and they scored 28. But I think they're going to need him, and they're going to need Lamar to step it up against teams that are not as bad offensively as the Steelers. And if everything goes chalk and all the favorites win, they're going to have to go to Buffalo. So,
well, and not only that, you're the Ravens. You've got to go to Buffalo and then Kansas City. So
yeah.
If it works out that way, you might be going. You might not have to face Buffalo if Broncos do that for you. However,
that's right. That's my prediction.
I mean,
that's gonna happen. Watch it happen.
We'll see how. I mean, you're coming off that great Charger take, so we'll see. But
hey, I got to hit on one of them.
Well, and I'll say the Chargers beating the Texans was not a crazy take. It's the AFC Championship take that you had for them, but
hey, I am the king of what ifs.
Yeah, so Baltimore, I don't know. I still don't.
I don't trust this team at all.
No, I think Baltimore plays well at home, and can play well on the road. I just still got to see it to believe it.
I agree.
Going into Kansas City because it just feels like that crowd does something to those guys. That
I don't even know if it's a crowd. It's just
there's something about playing at Arrowhead for those guys that just elevates them.
But even last year they played at home and they couldn't do it against Mahomes. They finally got Mahomes at home and it didn't matter.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm saying it from just any team going in there, not just the Ravens, just anybody. That the Arrowhead is a tough place to go and win.
Oh, 100%.
And yeah, so I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. I will be cheering for it to happen, that somebody goes in and beats them, just because
it's not going to happen.
I don't know. I like to see something different.
It's not going to happen.
So
it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
we both know it's not going to happen.
Well, I've been saying that all year long.
We both think somebody can do it, but then we're gonna.
That's why I picked the Chiefs.
That's why I picked them to go as well. I think the only team that can stop the Chiefs is the Lions.
I think the only team that can stop the Chiefs are the Chiefs. So
fair. But I feel like if I ask myself, who do I just trust to show up in the big moments? It's Kansas City, and right under them is Detroit. And so that's why they're my Super Bowl matchup. But getting back to this game.
Detroit, in my opinion, still has a little bit more to prove. Like, they still got to show it more.
But I think they will.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I think that Detroit could give them I think Detroit could beat them.
Yeah. So Baltimore wins 28-14, moves on to probably face Buffalo. We'll see what happens in that game tomorrow.
So tomorrow's slate of games. What do we have tomorrow? Early game is that's your upset in the making. Denver at Buffalo. That kicks off at 11 o'clock on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Nice.
Followed by Green Bay at Philly.
2:30. We'll see if that's nice.
Nightcap is Washington at Tampa Bay. So
go Commanders.
3 games tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully we can get some close games in all of those.
Yeah. Please.
If you're a fan of any of those teams, we'll help. Hope you get a blowout for you. That you get to enjoy a nice, relaxing blowout. That your team just takes care of business and it's less stressful and doesn't lead to as much stress eating as it does for us. So
it's hard to do. Even the Packers game last year against the Cowboys, it was a blowout. I was like nervous through the end. Because especially when you're not supposed to win and you don't think this is real, you're like, there's no way we win this. There's no way.
I went into that game last year just like put pressure on them. Just make them sweat. And so that's the same attitude I have this year for Packers at Eagles. It's just make the Eagles sweat a little bit. Make them have to play hard to beat you. Make them do that.
The problem is
what we want to do.
The Eagles are not the Cowboys. Unfortunately.
There's no way that I think that this could happen. Last year there was definitely a lot more of like we were kind of going in hot a little bit.
And we were facing the Cowboys.
Largely unknown, but then I was like, it's Dak Prescott.
And the Cowboys.
They're
notorious for doing this.
It's the Cowboys in AT&T Stadium.
That was one of the easy.
Very different from going to Philly.
I'm not sure if Dallas had a bad game. That was one of the easiest matchups a 7 seed could have probably ever had.
Yep.
But Baltimore wins 28-14. Like he said, games tomorrow. We'll have a reaction for that tomorrow night. Then we got the Monday night game. We'll react to that. And then maybe during the week we'll do like an awards prediction or something like that. Or maybe we'll wait to do that a little bit later. I don't know.
We'll come up with something.
But yeah, we'll try to do something in the middle of the week when there's nothing going on. Maybe something cool happens, a different sport. It's just hard to cover different sports when they're kind of meaningless right now. And it's like, I don't want to watch this. Yeah. I don't want to go. I don't want to watch basketball right now. I don't want to. I mean, I'll watch a little bit of hockey, but it's like, I don't know. Not much to talk about.
Yep.
But yeah, guys.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, check out Twitter, TikTok, Shorts, all that stuff. It is greatly appreciated. Have a good night.
Take care.
I'm not doing this again. Stay
safe.
Stay safe. And we'll see you in the next one.